According to the National Electrical Code, a 480 volts distribution center cannot be located in a hallway corridor without doors. National Electrical Code Article 110.26 states that electrical equipment shall not be installed in such a manner that will expose persons to electrical hazards that could cause injury or death. A 480 volts distribution center is a high-voltage electrical panel that contains live electrical parts. Exposing people to these parts without the protection of a door could result in electrical shock, burns, or even death. Therefore, a 480 volts distribution center must be located in a room or enclosure that is accessible only to qualified electrical personnel. The room or enclosure must be locked or otherwise secured to prevent unauthorized access. Let's delve deeper into the reasons why placing a 480 volts distribution center in an open hallway violates the National Electrical Code and poses significant safety risks. Firstly, accessibility to unqualified personnel is a major concern. Hallways are typically public spaces with unrestricted access. Placing a high-voltage electrical panel in such an area means anyone, including untrained individuals, could potentially come into contact with it. This creates a high risk of accidental electrical shock, burns, and other serious injuries. Secondly, the lack of physical protection is problematic. Distribution centers contain exposed live electrical parts that need to be shielded from accidental contact. Doors or enclosures provide a physical barrier that prevents people from inadvertently touching these parts. Without such protection, the risk of electrical accidents significantly increases. Thirdly, consider the potential for environmental hazards. Hallways are often subject to dust, moisture, and other environmental factors that can compromise the integrity of electrical equipment. These contaminants can lead to short circuits, equipment failures, and even electrical fires. An enclosure helps protect the distribution center from these hazards, ensuring its safe and reliable operation. Fourthly, the National Electrical Code prioritizes safety in all electrical installations. Article 110.26 specifically addresses the need to protect individuals from electrical hazards. Placing a 480 volts distribution center in an open hallway directly contradicts this principle, as it creates an environment where people are exposed to unnecessary risks. Fifthly, it's crucial to remember that 480 volts is a high voltage level that can be lethal. Contact with live parts at this voltage can result in severe electrical burns, cardiac arrest, and even death. Therefore, it's imperative to take all necessary precautions to prevent accidental contact with such equipment. Sixthly, the National Electrical Code requires that electrical equipment be installed in a neat and workmanlike manner. This includes ensuring that equipment is properly supported, protected, and accessible for maintenance. Placing a large distribution center in a hallway can obstruct passageways, create tripping hazards, and make it difficult to perform maintenance safely. Seventhly, consider the potential for arc flash hazards. An arc flash is a dangerous electrical explosion that can occur when there is a fault in electrical equipment. These explosions can generate intense heat, pressure waves, and projectiles that can cause severe injuries or death. Distribution centers are particularly susceptible to arc flash hazards, and enclosures help to contain these explosions and protect people nearby. Eighthly, the National Electrical Code specifies clearance requirements around electrical equipment to allow for safe operation and maintenance. These clearances ensure that workers have enough space to perform tasks without coming into contact with live parts. Placing a distribution center in a narrow hallway may not provide sufficient clearance, making it difficult to work on the equipment safely. Ninthly, it's important to consult with a qualified electrical engineer or inspector to ensure that all electrical installations comply with the National Electrical Code and local regulations. These professionals can assess the specific situation and provide guidance on the proper placement and protection of electrical equipment. Tenthly, remember that safety should always be the top priority when working with electricity. Never take shortcuts or compromise on safety measures, especially when dealing with high-voltage equipment. Always follow the National Electrical Code and other applicable standards to ensure a safe and reliable electrical system. Let's examine alternative locations for the 480 volts distribution center that would comply with the National Electrical Code and prioritize safety. Firstly, a dedicated electrical room is the ideal solution. This room should be secured and accessible only to qualified electrical personnel. It should also be properly ventilated and equipped with appropriate safety measures, such as arc flash protection and emergency shutdown systems. Secondly, if a dedicated electrical room is not feasible, an enclosed room or area can be used. This area should be separated from other spaces by walls or partitions and should have a lockable door to prevent unauthorized access. Thirdly, the distribution center can be mounted on a wall or structure within the enclosed space, ensuring that it is properly supported and protected from physical damage. Fourthly, adequate clearance should be provided around the distribution center to allow for safe operation and maintenance. The clearances should comply with the requirements of the National Electrical Code. Fifthly, the enclosed space should be properly ventilated to prevent the buildup of heat and moisture. This is particularly important for distribution centers that generate a significant amount of heat. Sixthly, arc flash protection should be provided to minimize the risk of injury in the event of an arc flash. This can include arc flash-rated panels, barriers, and personal protective equipment. Seventhly, emergency shutdown systems should be installed to allow for quick and safe energization of the distribution center in the event of an emergency. Eighthly, warning signs should be posted to alert people to the presence of high-voltage equipment and the potential for electrical hazards. Ninthly, regular inspections and maintenance should be performed to ensure that the distribution center is operating safely and reliably. Tenthly, all electrical work should be performed by qualified electrical personnel who are familiar with the National Electrical Code and other applicable standards. In addition to these general guidelines, there are also specific National Electrical Code requirements that must be followed when installing a 480 volts distribution center. These requirements cover topics such as grounding, overcurrent protection, and wiring methods. It's important to consult with a qualified electrical engineer or inspector to ensure that all of these requirements are met. By following these guidelines and the National Electrical Code requirements, you can ensure that the 480 volts distribution center is installed safely and reliably. This will protect people from electrical hazards and ensure the continued operation of your electrical system. The primary concern with placing a 480 volts distribution center in a hallway stems from National Electrical Code Article 110.26, which focuses on workspace about electrical equipment. This article dictates specific requirements for working space, access, and egress to ensure the safety of qualified personnel who may need to inspect, maintain, or repair the equipment. Firstly, working space is crucial. The National Electrical Code mandates a minimum depth of clear working space in front of electrical equipment, dependent on voltage and condition. For 480 volts equipment, this space can range from 3 feet to 4 feet, or even more, depending on the specific installation and the conditions present. A hallway, by definition, is a passageway intended for pedestrian traffic, and obstructing it with a large electrical panel and the required working space violates the code and creates a hazard. Secondly, access and egress are equally important. The National Electrical Code requires that electrical equipment be readily accessible and that there be a clear path of egress in case of an emergency. A distribution center in a hallway could impede access for maintenance or repairs and could block or narrow the egress path, creating a dangerous situation during a fire or other emergency. Thirdly, the absence of doors or an enclosure is a significant safety violation. Doors serve as a physical barrier to prevent accidental contact with energized parts. They also help to contain any arc flash events, protecting individuals in the vicinity. Without doors, a distribution center is essentially an open invitation for unqualified personnel to tamper with or accidentally come into contact with live components. Fourthly, environmental factors in a hallway are often uncontrolled. Dust, moisture, and physical damage are all potential risks that can compromise the integrity of the electrical equipment. A proper enclosure, as mandated by the National Electrical Code, provides protection against these elements, ensuring the longevity and safe operation of the distribution center. Fifthly, consider the potential for unqualified personnel to interact with the equipment. Hallways are typically accessible to anyone, including individuals who are not trained in electrical safety. This creates a high risk of accidental contact, electrical shock, and other injuries. Sixthly, the National Electrical Code also addresses the need for proper labeling and signage. Electrical panels must be clearly labeled with voltage ratings and other relevant information. Warning signs must also be posted to alert individuals to potential hazards. A distribution center in a hallway may not be adequately labeled, increasing the risk of accidents. Seventhly, the installation of a 480 volts distribution center in a hallway could also violate other National Electrical Code articles related to wiring methods, overcurrent protection, and grounding. These articles are designed to ensure the safe and reliable operation of electrical systems and must be strictly adhered to. Eighthly, it's important to note that local codes and regulations may also have specific requirements for the installation of electrical equipment. These requirements may be more stringent than the National Electrical Code and must be followed. Ninthly, the potential liability associated with an unsafe electrical installation is significant. If someone is injured as a result of a code violation, the property owner or installer could be held liable for damages. Tenthly, the cost of correcting a code violation can be substantial. It's always best to ensure that electrical installations are done correctly from the start to avoid costly repairs and potential legal issues. In summary, placing a 480 volts distribution center in a hallway without doors violates numerous National Electrical Code articles and poses significant safety risks. It's essential to consult with a qualified electrical engineer or inspector to ensure that all electrical installations comply with the National Electrical Code and local regulations. Remember that safety should always be the top priority when working with electricity.